Welcome to Daily Conversation. This is Mr. K.
This is Eric.
Yeah, today is the 30th of July 2021 and the time now is 6:16 a.m. Well, today our topic is a discussion of Generation X, Generation Y, and Generation Z. Is the generation gap a usual thing? Should we do something to reduce the gap or prevent it from deepening? So before we get started, please click the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Alright, so here we go. Alright, so firstly, yeah, maybe we may define generation X, Y, and Z first. And for generation X is those people who were born between 1965 to 1980. For generation Y, 1981 to 1996, and generation Z is 1997 to 2012. Yep, and then actually we have a newer one, which is the youngest generation. We call them Generation Alpha. Yeah, is basically in the early 2010 until until this year, 2021. Yep. So to me, a generation gap is the difference between uh, people in this different generation, and the difference basically is the difference is uh, uh, the difference can be in opinions, beliefs, values between them. Yeah, and then I think this is actually a, a very usual thing to happen between two generations of people. Yep, because let's say for opinion, yeah, opinion and beliefs, actually they can be formed during our daily life experience, and then uh, it also depends on what information we get, and then it also uh, because of our observation every day. Yeah, it's quite it is related a little bit to yesterday's topic, like attitude or the attitude which is formed based on experience, observation, social factors. Yeah, this is also the case because people in different generation, they are basically have a have a gap in terms of the age. So the people they deal with basically uh, also the age around them. Yeah. So yeah, in this case, I think it is very common and usual, and uh, yeah, and for the second part of the question, should we do something to reduce the gap or prevent it from deepening? Um, yeah, I think this, even though this is usual, this is common. Yeah, but we have to do something. But for here, I don't think the term prevent is the most suitable one. I think is firstly we need to accept that the existence of generation gap. This is uh, uh, very hard to avoid. Yep, and then after accepting the truth, and then uh, I think what we can do is to um, uh, let's say to find ways to communicate well with them. yeah, if they are people who are important to you, let's say for example, it is the most common in a family. In a family, the children and the parents or maybe the grandparents, uh, they must have generation gap. The numbers itself is a gap. I mean the age numbers. So yeah, I have four. I conclude uh, four four tips which we can consider to dealing with generation gap.
Okay,
And
what is the generation gap you try to reduce in this case?
in this case is something like uh,
Belief, value, opinion,
belief, value,
which,
opinion.
which,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
something that you mentioned. Okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And because of belief, value, and opinions, um, and it happens in many things. Let's say making some decisions. Yeah, and uh, or also maybe just chit chatting also will it will relate it to opinion, belief, and values. And yeah, for this one, I think the four things we may consider is first, put yourself in other people's shoes. And for this one, I think for four of the things that I'm going to mention need to be done in both parties. I mean, maybe it's the younger generation and the older generations. But for younger generations, maybe yeah, it depends. It depends on the age. Maybe they are too young. They may not able to have uh, this kind of thinking. So second is the respect. Yeah, for this one, respect, I found that um, uh, it is uh, it is common that we will find that people, let's say our friends or our friends' father, when we talk to them, when we communicate, we will find that um, yeah, the everything is still okay, and uh, uh, because of we respect each others. And then when we go back home and then dealing with our parents, and we found that sometimes we will have some argument because it is because we our relationship is different. It is closer. So sometimes because of this close relationship, so that we sometimes um, kind of ignore respect. And I wouldn't say respect is good, and but we need to still to hold some degree of respect. Yep. And then
because argument will arise if you don't respect them.
sorry.
Argument will arise.
What arguments? Yeah, it can be anything because um because they really uh they don't have the consent to care to care the others people's maybe their feelings or their dignity. So what they say is very direct. In some uh, in some degrees, this is a good thing because uh, we directly go into what we want to say. And yeah, but because it is too direct, it will also cause some problems if one party feel hurt and mentally. So it will lead to something like uh, um, because of argument, and then these two guys seldom talk or not willing to talk at all.
You provide some example, real life example.
Real life example. Okay, in my family, I think right now it is that uh there isn't an argument between me and my parents, and maybe previously, maybe like 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Yeah, um okay, I think I couldn't get an real example in my life, but I try to get an example which is uh which may be related to maybe in a teenager's life. Yeah, let's say um yeah maybe a friends want to when hang out with his friends, and then maybe the parents uh don't want them to go, and then maybe they want to discuss about these things, and then um and in that case maybe the children's they insist want to do, and the parents um also find that they couldn't change anything, and then maybe they will keep arguing, and then both parties didn't want to concede, and after that maybe the children didn't go, and but also the children and the parents uh, they are not uh, I mean the relationship may be hurt, and then they seldom talk to each other after that particular incident.
Okay, is it this kind of opinion, value, belief gaps arise between generation X or Y and generation Z or generations Alpha? Or actually, these kind of gaps exist and arise in every relationship, in every family, since for example, like
Mm,
your mother, your fathers,
yeah.
when they are still young, when they are still teenager, they
Mm,
also were something like want want to follow their parents' instructions.
mm,
So
yeah.
why I want to mention here is this a rise between teenager uh and his parents,
Parents.
or actually is a rise in between the generation Z and generation X or generation Y?
Um,
So
yeah, I think
technically,
in
so
parents
technically,
more. Mm.
so technically, what I want to ask is whether it is a quote unquote real generation gap.
Um, yeah, it can be related, but not fully.
Yeah. So
For
what?
for example, maybe previously in the past, maybe uh, in our parents uh, when they were teenagers, maybe in that at that time they maybe I'm not sure. Just take for example, maybe they didn't hang out with friends so often, but
But it,
maybe nowadays the time change, people want to connect it with each other more, and something like the whole culture uh, in the world change. So
wait, mm,
yeah.
from the example, I found that the key point is not hang out with friends. The key point is why they don't want to discuss with each other, why they don't want to sit down
Mm,
and discuss what is the difference between what is the difference in their minds, why
mm,
they think differently. So
yeah.
this is a key point. The key point here is not to hang out with friends. You can
Mm,
do other things. For example, when your father and mother
yep.
uh, at teenager age, they get a boyfriend, they get a girlfriend, and
Mm,
their parents may uh, may try to 拆散
Okay.
may try to let them may try to separate them.
Okay.
Don't want them to form into relationship,
Mm.
but maybe they refuse to do that. They still form a relationship. Okay. So mm, so no matter whether it is like hang out with friends, or you want to form a relationship, romantic relationship, or maybe you want to pursue your ambitions, you want to pursue your hobbies,
Mm.
maybe
Yeah.
you just want to live in a room. You don't want to you don't want to sleep with your parents. You want to sleep with yourself
Mm.
in a single room, or maybe you want to feed the fish. You want to pet a dog,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, it can be anything.
Mm.
So the key point here is not hang out with friends or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, the key point here is why they don't want to sit down and communicate, discuss what is the difference in their mind.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
And this is not only happen in Generation Z this not only happen between Generation Z and Generation X or Generation
Mm.
Y.
Yeah.
It happen in any relationship. For
Mm.
example, you talk to your friends or your friends talk to you. Some
Yeah.
of some of people you don't like them because they are not telling the truth. They keep faking, so
Mm.
you don't like them.
Yeah.
And when you ask them critical questions, they kind of like ignore the question and then tell something which they think is humorous and
Yeah.
try to flip to the next page.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it's not only occurred in generation X, generation Y, generation Z, or
Mm.
generation Alpha. So
Yeah.
it's so in my opinion, in my very humble opinion, this is not a generation gap. So could
Mm.
you provide some generation gaps real example?
Okay. Okay, I would say for generation gap, um uh it is not existed, or we can say uh we may not find it in every people. Uh and then like the case you mentioned just now, maybe they are friends, they are in the same generation and even with the same age, uh, they still can have difference in, let's say, uh, the opinion, beliefs, value. Uh, they still can have stiff difference. Um, but basically, or we can say, um, uh, more often we can find these difference uh, bigger, because of the different age they are. And I think I couldn't find an example uh, for generation gap which happen in every person, and something like must exist
No,
between.
no, no. You don't need to find it. But what I want to say is, uh, different opinion, different belief, different value not only occurs in different generations, they also occurs in the same generation. So this is technically not the generation gap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like let's say I ask you an example. What is the cultural gap? Yeah, what's the cultural gap? And like in Asians, uh, Asians, Asian like to eat rice, and Westerns don't like to eat rice. So
Yeah.
this is one of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is a common thing.
Mm.
Yeah, but if you or maybe Asian is more close-minded in terms of relationship, and Western country is more open-minded
Yeah.
in relationship. Yeah, so this is also one of example. But what you mentioned about the generation X, generation Y, generation Z, and the different belief, different value, different opinions exist. Yeah, it exists. But in which way? And what's the factor?
Yeah. In which way?
Okay, let me tell you. The first thing I think is about the information gap. Why? Because nowadays every younger people, yeah, they know how to connect to the internet, and then
Yeah.
they can access to the internet, to the informations very very fast, and they can access to a huge information just by using Facebook or just by searching on Google. They can know the news, or they can know something big or something important or even something unimportant from the internet.
Yeah.
And then how about generation X, generation Y, especially generation X? If if they don't have the skill, if they don't know how to use computer, if they don't know how to use phone to search informations, can they still access the same informations, or can they access to to uh to all these informations around us?
Yeah.
And this first is the information gap, and then yeah, because information can also influence our thought, can influence our emotions. And the key thing here is who is right. Yeah, who is more the the value, the belief, which one is 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 more near to the reality. Mm.
Yeah.
So the younger people think the experience, the thought, the belief, the value, the opinions of their parents already obsolete, already outdated. So they don't want to listen to them. Yeah. But still you also can see some very intelligent guys who age more than 60. They're still able to give a rational and also intelligent talk. And
Yeah.
many people like to listen to them. For example, Warren Buffett is one of the example. For example, like Ray Dalio, I don't know his age, but he's also I think he's also above 60. And you can see, yeah, many of the people, for example, like George Soros, yeah, and if you are doing investment, if you are doing trading, when when they say something in front of the media, you definitely will listen to. You definitely will pay attention to.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah. So this is not only yeah, but in general, technology create and technology and internet create the information gaps, and information gaps largely happens in between the generations X generation Z. Mm,
Mm. Yeah,
yeah.
because
So
Generation Y started to know how to use technology already and maybe also get the information right.
mm, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is one of the example. Mm.
Mm-mm.
So only if you are able to know the factors, you can address them. Otherwise, how can you address them?
Mm. Right. Right. Yeah. Information. Yeah. Yeah. For this one, can I give an example? Like, in the past, when my grandmother is still alive, and then, uh, she, she actually ate, two bowl of rice, uh, every meal if possible. Of course, in breakfast we seldom cook, but if for lunch and dinner, she ate two bowls of rice, which is the full bowl, the full bowl of rice. So that are many, right? And then yeah, we all know that eating too much rice isn't a good thing, um, especially for the elderly. Yeah, because the rice, I don't know the proper terms, can turn into uh, is it carbohydrate,
Mm,
淀粉, and
yeah.
then that can also convert to sugar, right, and impact our sugar level.
Mm,
Uh, and then yeah, for the elderly, it is suggested not to eat so much rice every day. And then but what leads her to eat so much rice every day is actually uh, my grandparents, they experienced World War II.
mm,
So my father told us that when they were young, they couldn't uh, get enough food at that time, and uh, they didn't have much food, much rice to eat. And after that, when the war is over, yeah, they become very uh, uh, they don't want to they're afraid of the feeling of hunger, and uh, they can access to uh, those food and rice, so they something like cherish them very much, and then eat a lot of them so that they feel secure. Yeah, and maybe also because of habit. Maybe after so many years, she formed a habit. She eats a lot of rice every day, and yeah, maybe in that case, she she overlooked the negative side of eating rice so much, and then she also may not be able to get the information about maybe this is a health issues, and yeah, and so that the gap arise there, and my father tried to tell her not to eat so much uh, for many times, but she still insisted eating two bowls of rice every day.
mm, yeah.
Yeah, so this is because of information, I think, and also because of the experience of the individual.
Yeah. So this is also one of the example. And for other example, some old men, some old people, they refuse to use smartphones,
Mm.
and also they refuse to learn. Yeah, they refuse to learn,
Mm-mm. Yep.
and they think this is difficult, and they don't want to. They want to learn. They don't want to use.
Mm.
But eventually, it will. Yeah, it will separate. It will separate. Sorry, I mean, it will deeper. It will difference the generation gaps even into even worse one. Yeah, into an even worse situation.
Yeah.
And for
Yeah.
example, in Singapore, Singapore government did a lot of things, try to reduce the generation gap. They try to provide education, provide free course
Mm.
to the old people,
Yeah.
so that they encourage the old people go to learn something, yeah, go to
Mm.
improve themselves, still keep
Yeah.
learning.
Yep.
So by doing that, one of the example, Singapore government they subsidize the community club to teach the old people how to use the computer, how to use the smartphones, and it's just cost about like $5, $5. It's very 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 cheap.
Mm. Yeah.
Mm.
Almost free.
Yeah. So this is one of the tactic, or this is one of the actions Singapore
Mm.
government do,
Yeah.
try to reduce the gap. Mm. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Basically, they offer something like the computer course, right? To
Mm.
learn how to use computer, how to use the internet,
Yeah.
and also I think computer and internet are two things which is very important, and we shouldn't uh, give up using these two things.
Mm.
Yep. So uh, so just now we talk about information, and then um, is there anything beside informations?
I think it's about the experience, which is you mentioned just
Mhm.
now.
Yeah,
The
experience,
yeah
information.
the experience could be outdated, but this but the experience mm, is something like the is the hard truth. What I call this hard truth is it cannot be violated, and this is the law. It's something like the law. For example, maybe within these 50 years we experience no war. Yeah,
Mm,
no war.
yeah.
But does it mean that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we still won't experience any war?
Mm,
Mm. So because like for your like for your grandparents, they may experience two war, you know. Yeah, the World War I, World War II.
yeah.
So it actually may plant the seeds into their mind. Peace is something very good, but it cannot sustain for too long.
Mm,
And to exchange the peace by using a short period of tough times. Mm, yeah, or maybe they have this kind of idea. Mm.
mm,
Whether this is true or whether this is false, we don't know. Mm.
yeah.
Just like another example, when you are still young, when you are a teenager, your parents ask you to learn English. Your parents
Mm,
ask you to study hard,
yeah.
and you refuse to do that. But yeah, your parents know, you know its importance, and maybe you also know its importance when you are kids. But why they can't convince you to study hard to learn the English? Maybe you see them, yeah, they also don't know how to use English. They still they keep talking. They didn't study hard in their young
Yeah.
age. They keep talking like this, and they say they regret. What you regret for? I don't see. I don't see the point.
Yeah.
And you and you and you have 10 years, you have 20 years, you have 30 years times. Even after you born me, yeah. If even after I born,
Mm.
you still have like 10 years times. You are able to learn. Mm. So why you if you think this is important, why you don't learn? And you say, yeah, I couldn't learn anymore. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if they talk like if they say something like this, can you believe them? Can you can you believe their belief? Can you believe their value? Can you trust their opinions? If I'm the kid, I couldn't trust.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. If you think English is important and you may use this English, you may use this language for your remaining life. But yeah,
Mm.
you still are alive. Why you still don't start to learn? You say it's too late. Nothing
Yeah.
too late.
Yep.
So yeah, this is actually because of the person who asks you to do something. They don't have enough knowledge. They don't have sufficient
Mm.
and appropriate and relevant knowledge to know the know why. They just know the know what. They don't know the know why.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they also know the know how, but they don't know the know why. But know why is really, really important because it keep remind us why we want to do something. It's related to the awareness.
Mm.
Yeah. So why you want to study hard? Maybe you can give a lot of example. You can give a lot of speech on that. Yeah, because you know the the scientist. Yeah, scientist uh is uh is the job studying studying uh the the common things and studying the relationship and then try to link them together to find a law, to find
Yeah.
something that we can follow, and then to find the cause and effect. Yeah, if we do A, we probably will get B. Yeah, if we eat apple, we probably will feel happy, will feel healthier. It's something like that. So scientists is this kind of job,
Mm.
and then based on their research, yeah, they done a lot of research, and this is 100 years research. So they study the person who are very very successful from 100 years ago until now, and they may keep doing the study. They may keep the uh, keep fighting, keep fighting. Mm. So what
Mm.
they found is, if you want to success, if you want to happy, there is a formula which is equal to optimist, which is your belief, positive in positive way, plus hard work, and plus the patience. And hard work is one of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can very you can love what you are doing, and also you can have the belief that you can do well. But if you don't put in action, if you don't work hard, you can't be success. And
Yeah.
you are studying all this is because this is the basic knowledge. This will shape your mind, and this knowledge is about the world. And do you think this knowledge comes very easy? It's not. All of this knowledge is something that the law, and why we all have to learn that is because this is very important to our mind, to our to ourselves. Because even though some of the some of the knowledge you couldn't like use it and apply it in real life, Like if you don't learn then you still can eat rice. You still know how to turn on the television and watch
Mm.
and watch the
Yeah.
television, and you still know how to use your smartphones. Yeah, maybe you think why school don't teach how to use smartphones. Yeah, and I have so that I had to learn it by myself. Yeah, and all of this knowledge will contribute your mind, so you have you have a better understanding about the world. Mm.
Yeah.
And this will help you in a indirectly way. Yeah, it won't help you in a direct way.
Mm.
And it will keep helping you for your remaining life, because this is something that couldn't change. Mm. For example, like the bacteria, the virus, all that. And look at nowadays the pandemic. If you don't have the knowledge, how can you judge? How can you judge whether you want to take vaccines or not? You couldn't judge. Yeah, even though people explain to you, but you don't know why is a cell, why is a bacteria, why is a
Mm.
virus,
Yeah.
what is the mechanism? You don't know. And will you and if in case you don't know, if you don't know, are you willing and are you able to take the risk to take vaccines? You may not.
Mm.
You may
Yeah.
refuse to do that and you may die eventually.
Yeah.
Mm. So this is one of the example. Yeah. So
Mm.
yeah, education is really important. And also you have to know the know why. You have to know why you want to learn that knowledge, why you want to acquire the skill. Mm. Yeah, especially for teacher. I will say
Mm.
like this because my teacher didn't tell me why I want to learn the thing when I was still a kid.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, so if let's say when you're getting older and you have a kid and and they don't want they don't want to work hard, they don't want to study, they want to play, how to convince them? You just scold them, tell them you have to study. Yeah, if you don't study, you'll get behind from other people and you'll have a terrible life or something like that. They can't understand because this is your experience.
Mm. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. So this for my sharing.
Mm. Yeah. So okay, let's say from yeah, just imagine that right now we are generation Y and generation Z or in between. Yeah, but for these two generation, we are newer and we are more familiar with technology and maybe have little uh, uh, maybe have little uh, difficulties in getting information comparing to the generation X. So for generation Y or Z, and then compared to the newest generation, let's say generation Alpha, um, because the barrier to informations uh, may not be so big. So in that case, I believe that they will have something else that creates the generation gap.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
please give some example.
I couldn't get it because I saw from the internet they say actually the generation gap uh, they um, they kind of shorten over the decades. In the past, maybe 20 years is a gap, and then they will have more obvious generation gap between two people which their age differ for 20 years. And after that, maybe 15 years, 10 years, and Yeah, nowadays it's 10 years. They will have a gap.
Okay, let me tell you one of the gaps that I know.
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's about the lie down. And most of the people who criticize lie down is actually Generation Y or Generation X. And most of people who lie down is Generation Z. Mm. And why
Mm.
Generation Z they lie down? Because they did some calculations which learned from their school. They know that they couldn't afford the house. Mm.
Yeah.
And why Generation Z? Why Generation X and Generation Y? They are they they can work for a house, work for a home, work for a car in the past
Yeah.
because it's relatively cheap to them compared to their wages. So the real wages is high at that time, but the real wages at current moment is really, really low. And they have to work hard to get the thing. And in the and in the and in the era of generations X and Generation Y,
Mm.
they don't have uh they there's no something called internet, and there's no something that can link everybody together,
Mm.
and there's no something free for entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go out play basketball, do that. Yeah, it's and it's free, and you get the happiness. Mm. But if you want to gain some knowledge, if you want to get some information, if you want to improve yourself, the most direct way is through your job, through your work. Mm. But you also can see some of the Generation X, Generation Y, they claim they are successful. Yeah, but it's only in their career. Outside from their career, mm, they don't have a common sense. Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, so Generation Z don't like to listen to speech from these kind of people. Yeah, because they have little sense, and they, beside of their career, they can't they can't give a fair speech. They can't give a fair opinions. It's just based on their experience. Yeah. And
Mm.
okay, what's the difference? What's the key point here is about the line down. Why Generation X and Generations Y will criticize the Generations Z? Yeah, criticize those people who lie down. Say they don't want to work hard. They don't want to do something. Yeah, they are not like us. Yeah, we are tough. Mm.
Yep.
When we are young, we have to do something like that uh, to overcome. Otherwise, we can't survive like that. Yeah, but nowadays, if you don't work hard, you still can survive. The yeah the world have changed.
Mm.
So something valid to your age, something valid to your era, doesn't mean that it's still valid in the current world, in the current situations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something that Generation Z know. Maybe it's a false belief, or maybe this is a true belief. We still we still don't know.
Mm.
Yeah. But this is your choice.
Yep.
This is your choice. And if you make the decision, you are taking risk. And for some Generation Z, they didn't calculate the risk, so they just go for that. And after they realize that they choose the wrong way, they choose the wrong direction, and at the time they become older, maybe they become like the Generation Y, Generation X, and then they'll tell their kids, yeah, you have to work hard, you have to study hard
Mm.
like that. So it's something like the spiral, like the circle,
Mm.
like the cycle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm, but if you are Generation Z, and you did and you did know how to calculate the risk, and you are willing to take risks, and even though at the end you fail, will you tell your kids, I'm doing I'm doing a wrong thing, yeah, I shouldn't do that, or something like that? Will you do that? Maybe you will, but maybe
Mm.
you won't, because you know at that times, based on your understanding, yeah, is it really the good choice?
Yep.
Yeah. So it still comes back to the education actually. And also one of maybe one of the another reasons why generations X and generation Y want to criticize generation Z and lie down. Maybe they want to protect their they want to gain the technique, or maybe another incentive, another monetary incentive is they are still paying the mortgage. Yeah, they are still paying the mortgage, especially for generation Y.
Mm. Yeah.
Mm. If the younger generation don't want to buy the house, so the demand will become lesser, the
Mm.
demand will decrease, and the supply keep going up. So generation Y don't want to see that, because it means that their house price may drop.
Mm.
Their
Yep.
house value may drop. Yeah. So they kind of like pursue it. The generation Z work hard so they can sell the house, or they can get the rental, or they can
Mm.
live wealthier.
Yep. They don't want to see this become a culture, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
So instead of focusing about the generation gap, you need to know why they think like this. Just like what I mentioned, you need to know the know why. Know why is important.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, no, but want to say one thing, which is our conversation. Yeah, I found that our conversations, because we will have the chance to come across different topics, and then we'll have the chance to also exchange the information. Yep. So I think this is also a good way um to deal with the information gap.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we keep doing this uh maybe in the future. I also found that after having the conversations I have, previously I have almost uh, zero knowledge uh, to some new technology thing. For example, autonomous car, and also something like the newer energy. I didn't know what kind of energy they use to produce
Mm.
electricity, something like that. And
Mm.
also for many health uh, knowledge. Yeah, I just know something like the facts and didn't know the logic or the things behind.
Mm.
Mm,
And also about the happiness.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, me too. I also found that after we have the conversations, my mind becomes sharper. Mm.
Mm,
And also, especially for the Monday video reviews, and every week we are not like came out a conversation topic that's already in our mind. We actually found something. Yeah, it's interesting. It's something that's uh I don't know. Or it's something that is quite new. Mm.
mm, yeah.
And I want to understand more. And then so I put inside to the conversation list. So uh, uh, we can discuss with each other. And then
Mm,
by doing that, and you can find that actually many new idea is actually come from the Monday video review. For example,
yeah.
nuclear energy and like footstep energy,
Mm,
and maybe
autonomous car.
autonomous car. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also like some other like lie down. And yeah, there are lots like the solar energy and also like the about the environment, the seaweed, how to protect the environment. Yeah, a lot. And also happiness, like the John John dying.
Yeah.
So yeah, really. The Monday video reviews doing a great job in our conversation.
Yeah. So, and also our video review, many of them comes from YouTube, right? The platform of YouTube. So, for the generation gap, because I think for the newer generation, like Generation Z and the Generation Alpha, they like to use YouTube, right? So, maybe in just in this perspective, they have the chance to to come across many information, many new ideas, while the Generation X maybe they use but not so often uh, they couldn't obtain
Yeah,
the same information.
and also you can look at the statistic. Let's say in Generation Z,
Mm,
maybe only 10% of people will keep searching, will use the YouTube as a learning platform to learn something new, to get uh, some of the knowledge. Maybe it's own knowledge, but it is critical, it's important.
mm,
And maybe the remaining 90% of people, they just use YouTube as an entertainment platform.
yeah.
Mm. And then how about when Generation Y, Generation X comes in? Yeah, still, the Pareto principle, which is the 2080 rules, will still apply.
Mm,
About maybe 20 or 10% of them we use it to search something important. We use it as a learning method, a learning platform, and the remaining one we use it just for entertainment. And this is also one of the criticism from the Generation Y and Generation X. They criticize us use too much computer, use too much, take too much time on the phones.
yeah.
Okay, so that's all for our today conversations. How do you feel? Did you enjoy the conversations? Please tell us what you think of our conversations. And we are not native speakers. If you found any vocabulary mistake that we made, please also comment to let us know, because we want to learn more and improve ourselves. Remember to like and subscribe to us. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.